Hey everybody, Scott Johnson here on our layout in our home in Oregon City. Today, instead of focusing on trying to recreate some rail fan stuff I've seen in the past, I'm going to show you the layout, kind of a behind the scenes, show you some of the ways I film. Maybe people have comments on how to do better. I know I can. Got a tripod for Christmas and that's helped a lot. I just got a little short Amtrak running around while we take a look at our Southeast Portland, Brooklyn Yard area. All kind of motive power. We set it in like the mid 90s to the mid 2000s. Brooklyn Yard still had the roundhouse with the daylight. I made it after 2000 so that I could model Doyle's Alco PA shell and his Great Northern F7, which is now landlocked over at the Oregon Coast Scenic Railway. Been working on this corner of the layout, trying to make kind of a generic Southeast Portland. I'm looking for shopping carts in N scale to make a little homeless village, because unfortunately that's one of the things you see in Southeast Portland quite a bit. I've tried to get some of the right cars that the NRHS Pacific Northwest chapter uses. The Traveler's Rest there for old Great Northern car. Some XSP cars. I need a good 700 back in there, and Oregon 197. But all things will come. So this is just a general, it's just the spare bedroom in our house. Nothing exciting. I think it's like 12 by 13, something like that. We built it up, I think we did about 46 inches high. My son and I are both fairly tall, so it made it easy for us. My wife is on the shorter side, so not so easy for her. The background painting that always looks pretty decent in the videos, it's just paints I just painted on the wall. This represents Mount Jefferson. I painted Mount Hood over here, because that's in the background of many of the Oregon shots. It's just these craft paints that we got from Michaels. How we built this was we put the shelf brackets underneath with heavy duty brackets, 3/4 inch plywood. You can see under the Oregon City area, the big shelf brackets. Put 1x4s to support the outside here. And just good old pink insulation foam that everything rests on. I was tickled with the way the clouds look. That's just white and blue paint put over the sky blue that we painted the room when we talked about making the train layout. Over here there's nothing added. This is the west wall. Didn't add any extra clouds. It shows up pretty good in the videos. For the Oregon City area, we took some of the foam board, put it on its side, sprayed on some of that textured gray paint, put on a bunch of lichen and other material. I scratch built the Oregon City elevator. It's not perfect, it's not bad. And then we put in some generic office buildings. There's a whole lot more you could detail on that, but it's only an inch wide. But by putting houses, trees, and then painting the trees in the background, you get an idea of some of the layers of Oregon City. Most of the mill area is just either kit-bashed buildings, or those are some N-scale mills that painted up, just put on blue heron decals. I just printed them off, cut them to fit. I made some of the tanks here out of their old milk containers. That's an Altoids box there. The white one, just paint it up white, stick it in, it becomes part of the mill. This is one of those little diesel horns. And you just put a little label on it. These are some of the, I think they're ready built or something like that. They're just their generic factories. Put some white paint on them, added some people. Put some forklifts. These little rounds are actually the base of some of the small Christmas trees we'll talk about later. I built out of styrene the large building that's still there in Oregon City for the paper company. It has an old gas station out the bottom, so that's an old, I think, ready-built Shell station. My switch that went down to the mill fried out on me the other day, so I just took it out, not to burn anything up. But I've got a steep connector that's pretty realistic that actually goes down, so this is all wired up. You can do street running, just like in Oregon City they did in the 90s. I do like the 3D view of the trains going by, because that's what it looks like if you're walking through Oregon City. That's Highway 99 where it goes underneath. You can't see it terribly well, but there is a Southern Pacific Herald still. I'm blocking it with the shadow of the camera. But there's an Oregon City, I'm sorry, Southern Pacific Herald still there. I tried to do the parking lots that were behind the buildings. I painted up some of these myself, put on some of the right stuff, like in Oregon City there is the Edward Jones Investments in the old building. Next to it would be the Coin Corner hobby shop where I get some stuff. And then the Railroad Avenue. Still working on a good entrance to the elevator. This is just a picture off of it, and of course I got the light, but it kind of gives you the idea for the background. Elevator is relatively scaled. It's not perfect. First Bank of Commerce, that's true. Tom Bush Furniture, that's a real business. Spent some money there. And most of Oregon City isn't able to be modeled, but this gives you the idea, because when you're down on Main Street, that's what the trains look like when they go by. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for perfection. I just like to model what I've seen. If you've looked at some of the earlier videos, this area was blank. So we got some houses, painted them up. I like going to the swap meets and finding things and refurbishing them. Just made a little neighborhood down here, kind of the Clackamas Heights area. Our bridge is actually painted black and it's covered in graffiti, but I like the Southern Pacific Bridge. This would be the High Rocks area of Clackamas, over the Clackamas River. That's the little AMR lifeguard hut. You gotta find some little lifeguards. You don't see a lot of people in canoes because the water's pretty swift. One of the things I do like doing is using different locations. I had this old burger joint and I use it as Mike's drive-in. You see it in a lot of my videos. I pulled pictures off Mike's website.